Okay, so we've done this exercise where everybody drew a curve and everybody drew something that we can work with. With yield of corn in bushels per acre, average temperature in Fahrenheit degrees. Ask everybody to sketch their own graph, label and scale the axes using common sense and the information that general yields in corn growing areas are 10 to 100 to 200 bushels per acre. 100 bushels per acre used to be really good when I was your age. But that's kind of not a very good yield anymore. People do more than that. Better variety or more productive varieties of corn. And a little more science behind things. Okay, anyhow. So, using that information, ask you to label the axes. And then pick 2 points in the graph and make a fundamental triangle. Now, some of you made a little bit of an unfortunate choice of your 2 points. Okay, I think there are about 3 people that did that. And it can be a little confusing, so let's address that right now. So if your graph is like this, okay, and you choose this point here and this point here, okay, well, there's the hypotenuse of your triangle, okay? The 2 sides of your triangle have to be parallel to the coordinate axes, okay? Now, one of these points is a little bit higher than the others, the way I drew it. So I'm going to use a slightly different color. So if this is horizontal, if this is parallel to the x-axis, then there's parallel to the y-axis, right? Now, if this point is exactly the same height as this one, what's that tell you about the rise?
Well, it comes up and comes back down. Not in this.
Well, there'd be no rise between 2 points that are horizontally apart from each other, right? So, and then what you're tempted to do, you want to see a triangle, so people are going to tend to try to make one, okay? But now, your hypotenuse isn't between the 2 points. Your hypotenuse is up here, right? Okay? Your hypotenuse has to be between the 2 points. But it would be natural to do this because you want to see a triangle. And you haven't really thought about the fact that, well, if the points are horizontally across from each other, one leg of that triangle is pretty much 0. Okay? That makes sense? So the problem here is the hypotenuse is not between points on the curve. And one of your legs is actually the hypotenuse. Okay? So, if the points are horizontally across from each other exactly, then you have 0 rise. At one of your legs, you can't do 2 non-zero legs and follow the instructions. So you want to be careful about that. Okay, so if you did that, fine, okay, but you don't want a triangle that looks like that. The hypotenuse has to be between graph points. Okay? Okay, so anyhow, now we do this. Okay, so I'm going to put a scale on this. I'm going to say that this goes from, let's just say the y-axis is at 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And over here, we have 90 degrees. And I think that might be a fairly representative curve. So maybe the curve extends down to here. And maybe at 40 degrees, you just don't get any corn. I don't think you get any corn at 50 degrees either. I don't think it's going to grow at 50. So actually, I'm going to change that to 50. And you don't really grow at 50, but it goes above 50. If you can get it to germinate, which you can't, but if you did transplants or something at 50 degrees, you might get a couple of kernels of corn. I don't think so. I don't think until the temperature gets up around 60 or 65, but I don't know. I haven't studied this. Don't know what the information is. I'm sure you could find it. Okay, and then at peak, let's just say you get 200 bushels at the peak. And at what temperature does that occur? Okay? Well, between 50 and 90, really before I do that, I should scale the axis. Halfway between 50 and 90 is about here. That's going to be at 70. Here's 80. And here's 60. Okay? Now here's 200, so that's easy to subdivide. I can come down to 100 here. And then I can come down to 50 here and 150 here. That's enough of a scale to get started. Then, what can I do? I can pick 2 points. Whatever points you're interested in. What's the temperature range here? Okay, in corn growing, okay, you know, from like May through August. Okay? Now, temperature changes a lot between May and August, and that puts a complication of the whole thing. So let's just pretend we're in some place that has a nice, even average temperature, where the average high is 80, and the average low is 60. So the average temperature is about 70, okay? So let's say we want to go from 60 to 80. Well, I don't want to do that because I'm going to get, well, okay. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to go from 60 to 80. And I'm just going to go ahead and do my projection line so I can see that the coordinates of this point, and you want to write the coordinates in your graph too. That's actually kind of part of the labeling, although it's not an official part. Okay? If you're showing so, if you're trying to communicate your picture, if you're trying to communicate what's going on here with corn yields, then it can be important. That's a big economic thing. Okay? Both personally for the farmers and nationally for the whole economy. So you got what, 60, and that looks to be, what do you think that is? Between 100 and 150. I think it's a little more than halfway, so I'm going to say 130. Okay, so I'm going to say that looks like about 130. So this point is .60 Fahrenheit degrees. It's 130 bushels per acre. Okay? That's this point. And this point is, looks like between 180 and 190. I'll just say 180 because I think it's as much as 190. .80 Fahrenheit degrees, 180 bushels per acre. Okay? And then I can draw my triangle. And I'll go ahead and use some colors here. There it is. And now I do a couple of arrows. Actually 3. And I'll label my legs, right? Well, this leg goes from 60 to 80. That's a no-brainer. It's 20, right? If you ever get confused, you subtract where you start from where you end, right? You start at 60, you end at 80, so you subtract 60 from 80. Okay? Subtract where you start from where you end. And that's 20. And I'm going to actually label that 20 Fahrenheit degrees because now we're into something where we need to understand what the triangle is telling us, okay? And then we do the rise, which is from 130 to 180. So we subtract 130 from 180, we get 50, right? So we get 50 bushels per acre. Then we label the slope. But first, off to the side someplace, we do a calculation and we document this. Okay, I'm going to put the documentation in another color. I'm going to say, okay, it says rise equals 50 bushels per acre. Run is 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Slope equals rise over run. You want to write that out to keep reinforcing it, although you know that pretty well. Okay? I want you to write that out for now. Slope equals rise over run, which is $50 bushels per acre divided by 20 Fahrenheit degrees. That's written kind of small, might be a little hard to read from where you are. I failed to anticipate everything I was going to do, because when I started, I wasn't going to do all this. Just bad planning. But as you did this, I saw that you were doing pretty well, so I want to do the whole thing. Okay. So, well, 50 over 20 is 5 over 2, right? And if you really want to call that 2.5, I know you can do that in your head and don't have to have a calculator. If you wanted to say that, that's okay. I'm going to keep it as a fraction, 5 over 2, okay? So I'm going to write the slope as big as I can, given that I use this space in this label. 5 over 2, and that's bushels per acre per Fahrenheit degree, and that's going to be a little hard to read, but you understand that that's what goes then. Okay? And then, after you've done it and found out that half the things you labeled are getting in the way of the other half, maybe you draw a prettier picture and present it. Okay? You don't have to do that for your homework every time. I mean, once in a while do a really pretty one, so I know you're capable of it. And I know you are. Okay? But just to validate it so I can tell other people that you're capable of it. Okay? Not that I think you are. So that's not a very pretty picture. Hopefully yours will be a little better. Hopefully, I intentionally crowded things like this so you'd see how not to do it, right? It's all planned. Okay, well, believe me or not. Now we want to ask, though, what this 5/2 bushel per acre per Fahrenheit degree is. Okay? So I want you to think about that for a few minutes.